The next artist we're looking at is Jasper Johns. He's an American artist, and honestly, his work is a little bit hard to categorize. And he did something really unique. We're going to watch a quick video. It's just 60 seconds. And in it, the narrator quotes Johns and saying, "We, the viewer, complete the work of ourselves." Which is an interesting idea. Right? How do we, when we look at a work of art, complete it? So we're going to watch this. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do for our project.
In 1958, a young artist made a dramatic entrance onto the New York art scene, work that seemed to make a clean break with the dominant art of the day. Unlike the abstract expressionists, Jasper Johns didn't reject representation. He gave us signs and symbols, things the mind already knows is important, and most symbolic and familiar of all is the American flag. Against the backdrop of the Cold War, was this a political statement? Is it subversive or celebratory? Or has any such meaning simply dissolved in the thick layers of geometrically abstract paint? In his long career, Johns has left his mark on everything: pop art, minimalism, conceptual art, performance. Still working today, his nuanced, complex art is layered with multiple meanings. Johns wants us to look and to think, and in that act of looking, he believes, as his friend and mentor Marcel Duchamp did, that we complete the work of art ourselves.
Alright, so what might that mean? Well, we talked about this in class a little bit. If you're looking at an American flag, in this case an abstract version, everybody is going to see it a little differently. An American flag means different things to different people. Depending on maybe where you are in the world. Maybe you know somebody who served in the military. Right? It's going to, depending on your experiences, the meaning of the work of art is going to change. Now, Johns did something interesting. Before him were the abstract expressionists, and Johns can be considered an abstract expressionist as well. He's a pop artist, and he's kind of hard to label. But we had words like this, like Rothko. Right? Color fields. You had Jackson Pollock. Layers of this crazy, wild paint. It's like non-representative, non-objective. There's nothing in here that we recognize. And what Johns did is a little more like this. So he took the same kind of wild abstraction, but what did he do that's different? What is this a painting of? This is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe zeros in there. Probably zeros in there. And layered on top of each other. And so what he did is he took things we recognize and brought that into abstraction, which I think made it a lot more accessible. Right? A lot of people can access Jasper Johns, whereas you might have a little more trouble appreciating something like this that looks completely random. And what's cool, though, is you start out with these numbers, but as the work develops, the numbers become less and less important. It's not about the numbers necessarily. It's about what happens after that, the lines, the shapes, the colors. He worked with numbers. He did lots and lots of these with different colors, and black and white, paintings, prints, all sorts of different things. So he experimented with these a lot. So our job now is to create our own Jasper Johns abstraction. And we're thinking about balance. That's the challenge, is to create a balanced abstraction. So, like with Rich Shoulder, he talked about balancing accident and discipline. Here we're balancing variety or variation and unity. So variation is what is different. There's different colors, there's different shapes, there's different sizes, there's different positions. Unity is what brings it together. So this work is probably more varied than unified. Right? What does unify it is the similar shapes, right, the outlines, and they are repeating colors. You're just repeating a lot of colors. So this work would be more varied than unified. The one on the right is probably more unified than varied. You have less shapes, actually with both of these, right? We have less colors, so there's a little more unity, they feel a little more together, but there's enough variation to make them interesting. Finding that balance. So you can choose a number, letter, symbol, and we're going to turn it into an abstract expressionist work of art. We're going to layer them, and then take what we see, the shapes that are created, and make them into a work of art. You may or may not really be looking at the shapes themselves. So here's an example. So I am, okay, never mind this part. Just do it on a small piece of paper though. Oh, I think this is really bright. That's why it's really hard to see. Hold on. All right. Okay, here we go. So in this, what am I doing? I think I'm just putting my initials. Yeah, an M and an A. So I'm doing the M in block type letters, right, nice and thick, filling up the page. So you don't necessarily have to do, you can move it around, play with it. So the key here is now when I'm putting the A, I'm thinking about how the A fits in with the M, right? It's going to be just as high, it's going to angle down, and I'm going to use some of the same lines. The bottom of those long legs of the A can be the same as the M. Right, so I'm fitting these together and see what shapes come out of that. Where do they overlap? Where do they not? There we go. So I have some interesting. I could do more of the letters, but I'm just going to use my initials here. What is going on? Am I recording? Okay, sorry about that. I'm not even sure what's happening. But, alright, so now, here's my example. I'm using my initials, M and A. In this case, the M, I'm going to fill up the paper. Right, and I'm making block letters so that we do get some shapes. Especially since I'm only using 2 letters. You don't necessarily have to fill up the page. But here's the key. When I'm adding the A, I'm thinking about how these 2 letters overlap, or where they overlap and where they don't. For instance, the long legs of the A, right, the bottom of them, are going to be as wide as the M. And I can use the bottom of the M as the bottom of the A. So that's where they're going to overlap. And then when I bring my A up, this line, the bottom of the M, could actually be the same as the bottom of the opening. Maybe. Yep. The bottom of the opening of the A. Let's bring that in, right? So I'm seeing kind of how they might fit together. And you can do with bubble letters, right? You can, have fun with this, play around. And then when I'm adding color, so I'm thinking about balance here. First of all, I just start lightly getting some colors in, highlighting some outlines, some shapes that I find interesting. I'm going to kind of balance that out. So here's one that's a little farther along. It's A, R, and T overlap. You can see where I have a lot of green on the top and the right hand side. So I'm thinking, okay, how can I balance that out? I'm going to bring some green down here. And I'm going to bring some green onto the left side, but I'm not going to do it exactly the same way as I did in the other. I'm not going to just shade it flat, right? So I'm adding green, but I'm to create unity, but I'm doing it a different way, which gives me a little variation. Okay? Bear with me. This is tricky. All right, now I've got some blue outlines. I've added some blue outlines, so I decide, okay, maybe I need some blue on the right side. Right? And I'm also, what else am I doing, right? I'm repeating this angled line. I have it on the left side in green, on the right side in blue. Decide, okay, let's pop some orange in there. Maybe we need a little more line on the bottom. I say, okay, right? I look at this, and I like it. I've got these strong outlines of blue in there. Now my A is kind of disappearing. Right? It's not as strong as I would like. So how am I going to bring that out? Well, I'm going to outline that as well. Instead, I need some yellow in there. So yellow on the lower right side, yellow on the upper left side. I'm dampening that with a little orange. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to balance this. I'm trying to make it look complete. So one area isn't too weak, and one area isn't too strong. So notice here I have a light red in the background. Decide, okay, let's darken that up. A little orange on top. So I'm slowly changing this image, layering, adding, and building, hopefully, a nice balanced work of art. That's your goal. And this is your first time, so you don't stress about it. Okay? Have fun with it. We're doing what we call thoughtful play. You're playing with the composition, but you're doing it thoughtfully. I really think things like balance, I think things like adding variation, like unifying, are things we naturally do. But we're just adding a language to it to help you reflect on it, to understand what you're doing. So, give it a shot. And remember, you don't have to love it. Just give it a shot. See how you like it. And then you don't have to necessarily submit this one for your final piece. If it does turn out really good, then you can choose this one to submit